When we had this meeting months ago to announce who it was, Kurt Tippmann rattled off 3 names, and I knew all the names, but when he came to Sim Nelson, I was like, that's the guy I walk by his plaque at Northside every single day when I shoot a basketball game. But I didn't know all that much about him. And so one of the real joys of helping put some of this all together is that I got to learn Sim Nelson's backstory, and I got a chance to chat with his family, got a chance to chat with Tamisha. But it was such an amazing experience to be able to learn about somebody that I had no idea about other than what I read on his plaque, to put a face with a name. And as you'll hear in this story, if you knew Sim Nelson and you didn't like Sim Nelson, that was your problem. Because if you knew the man behind all the athletic achievements, that far superseded anything that he did on the football field. And I know people are going to talk about all the stories and all the yards and leading University of Michigan in receiving his senior season and everything that he did to be all Big Ten and the quality of his football and the fact that he got a chance to go play in the Tampa Bay Bucks camp before a knee injury unfortunately ended his career. But when you talk to the individual people that met him throughout the course of his life, because he passed away so young at the age of 38 after a 6-7-year battle with leukemia, there's a chance that people might just say the right thing about him and maybe not mean it. But you could tell when interviewing all the people that you see in this story, in their heart of hearts, they believe that his character was impeccable, that the way he conducted himself off the football field was the true blessing and not necessarily exactly what he did on the football field. So I hope during this story that message is conveyed, that it isn't all about the football accolades, even though tonight we are celebrating the Indiana Football Hall of Fame, that it's about the person behind those accolades. So without further ado, please take a look at our story on the life and the accomplishments of Sim Nelson.
First and goal at the 8-yard line. And Steve Smith coming around over the middle, fires, and Sim Nelson stays in the end zone, bobbles the ball, finally finds a handle, and has a touchdown.
Yeah, it's kind of like, hey, you're going to catch the ball, but you better catch this one. You never know how many are going to come your way.
It goes way back to playing PAL football. When he was 10, 11, 12 years old, you knew he was going to be an athlete. He was always bigger than everybody else, but a heart of gold. And Sim was a year older than I was, so my dad would, after practice, he would give Sim rides home from baseball or football. And my dad had a nickname for Sim and called him Big Uggs. And Sim just loves that. Like I said, if you didn't like Sim Nelson, there's something wrong with you.
An all-SAC pick in 3 sports, Sim Nelson stood head and shoulders above the competition. A 2-time All-State pick as a defensive end and a tight end, quite a luxury when Dale Dorfler took over as Northside's head football coach in Sim's senior season.
I got the job in 1980. What a blessing to have Sim as a senior on that football team. Sim was a great leader. Football players followed him, did whatever he asked him to do, and I embraced that. I mean, when you have a coach on the field like Sim on both sides of the football, he was also a punter and did everything. He always used to come back to Northside and he used to say, "Dorfler, I made you." And I said, "Okay, you did, Sim, you did."
From there, it was on to Ann Arbor, where Sim suited up for the national powerhouse Michigan Wolverines and legendary coach Bo Schembechler.
If you knew my dad, he's a great personality, great sense of humor. So he would always talk about how he was always the big man on campus, right?
The thing I learned a lot of was how to write papers, the beginning and starting. And first couple of years I was here, they had to help me out a lot. Now I'm able to do it on my own. And
when I meet people that have either played with him or went to school with him or knew him from his days at Northside, they always have very great things to say. Oh, he was amazing. He was a really good friend. He was, always advocating for others. And so I think that's just kind of where his legacy has just taken him, is to people remember always the good things.
As a man open.
Speaking of good things, Sim's saving his best for last. As a senior in 1984, he'd lead the run-heavy Wolverines in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdown catches.
As long as Bo's here, I think it's going to be that way, because he always wants to establish a good ground game, and then that opens things up for the passing.
As a senior, he was picked All Big Ten and earned a spot in an NFL training camp with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I think for him, he was most proud of just making it to that level, being able to even have that opportunity. Although, he blew his knee in training camp, and so I always tell people my life probably would have been a little different, but he was always just so excited to have those opportunities because he knew that his hard work had actually finally paid off for him.
After football, Sim eventually wound up back home in Indiana, working in Indianapolis. He passed away in 2002 at the age of 38 after a long battle with leukemia, but his presence and personality still loom large in the Nelson family.
I was young when he passed away, 14 I believe, but the memories that I do have, I enjoy. It makes us very proud. We love telling everyone that that's our uncle, and we miss him dearly. But yeah, we're all just very, very proud of him.
Honestly, like I said, I had 4 uncles that all played sports and a few aunts that played sports. But I think they all kind of set the bar, and then Dad came as the last son and kind of knocked it out the park. So that has been, for us, just an amazing legacy to watch him kind of just follow after his brother's footsteps, and they were his probably biggest competitors, and grow into the great legacy that he's created for himself.
I grew up a huge University of Michigan fan, and I'm sure some of you guys did too. And if you have a really, really discerning eye, you'll notice that there was a quarterback playing in some of those highlights that did a little something else since then. You may recognize him, but he had a special message to share with us tonight to commemorate his friend Sim Nelson. Here he is, Jim Harbaugh.
Hi, I'm Coach Jim Harbaugh of the Los Angeles Chargers. Can't tell you how excited I am to talk about Sim Nelson in 2026 and his induction into the Indiana Football Hall of Fame. And why that is, because he was one of my best friends in college, going back to 1982, 83, 84, my tight end, my go-to guy. And other thing that jumps into my mind is Hall of Fame shouldn't just be something that is somebody's inducted because of the type of player they were, but kind of person they were. And as good as Sim Nelson was as a player, he was an even better person. He was an encourager. Just a year younger than Sim, I always felt the love, the encouragement, the positivity, the kind of friend that is your best friend because he's got your front, your back, and your side. The kind of guy that lights up the room, the kind of teammate that lifts everybody up. He's just an incredible force for good. And the pride that he had being from Indiana, being from Fort Wayne, being from the Fort. Had a couple visits with him back to his hometown. Much loved, great player, great person, even better friend. Rest in peace, Sim Nelson. One of the all-time greats, in my opinion, and because of who he was and the kind of teammate that he was. So congratulations, and my friend.
Now, as a guy who's probably been around here much longer than he wants to admit, I can remember Sim Nelson. And one of the lasting things I remember about him is you would bring the camera and you'd come over and be ready to talk to players at practice, and sometimes they were a little reticent about whether they wanted to do it. Not Sim. He'd run on over, I'd get a nice pat on the back, let's go. And I'm going, really? Okay, this is fun. Can all those guys be like that? And I will tell you, the guys who are playing now, I know, in having dealt with you guys and people not that far removed from you, because of the way media is done now and compared to what it was done then, you guys right now are really, you step up and it doesn't wow you. I mean, you come up and you just talk to us and we're fine. Wasn't back in Sim's day, that wasn't the case, except for Sim. And I always got a good, and he would answer the questions and he would be very funny doing it, and I'd walk away going, you know, that was actually fun. A lot of what I've done in this job is fun. He was one of the people that made it happen, and I appreciated that all the time that I was able to deal with him. He will be introduced by his sister, Carol Bolton, and she will talk to you a little bit about him and then introduce another speaker as well. So, Carol, it's all yours. Watch your step. And then just bring this down to your level.
Good evening. If Sim were here tonight, he would, with all humbleness, lovingness, and jokingly look over at the Hall of Fame committee and say, "What took you so long?" But before I begin, we ask that you could keep our brother Ricky lifted in prayer. He traveled from Atlanta to be here tonight. He got sick about 30 minutes before we were coming, so he's across the street at the ER. So just keep him in your prayers. Good evening, everyone. My name is Carol Nelson Bolton, and I have been bestowed the honor and privilege of presenting my brother, the late Sim M. Nelson IV, for induction into the Indiana Football Hall of Fame. On behalf of the entire Nelson family in attendance, with all reverence and respect to our late parents, Sim M. Nelson III and Vernell Nelson, we would like to first of all thank the committee for the recognition and for counting our Sim worthy of this honor and distinction. To the other inductees, Mr. Tom Dixon, go blue, and Joey Ellums, congratulations to you and your families. Sim M. Nelson IV, born June 9th, 1963, deceased February 1st, 2002. The Dash is a famous poem by Linda Ellis that reflects the significance of the small line between a person's date of birth and their date of death on their gravestone. The poem is not only a reflection of the life of the person lost, but also a reminder for the reader to live their own dash to their fullest. Sim, without a doubt, lived his dash to the fullest. Sim was not only a living legend, defined as a person who is highly famous, admired, and respected while still alive, typically for achieving extraordinary success, influence, or exceptional skills on the specific field. A legend is someone who leaves behind an unforgettable impression on others. I repeat, a legend is someone who leaves behind an unforgettable impression on others. They touch lives, they're remembered, they're cherished. There are all sorts of legends in this world today, and on this night, we recognize Sim for his exceptional, legendary high school football career at Northside. If you were fortunate enough to attend a Northside football game between 1978 and 1980, you know that Sim Nelson was must-see TV and Friday Night Lights rolled into one. Before Travis Hunter played both offense and defense, Sim did that and did all the punting, kickoffs, and kicked extra points. before Odell Beckham's iconic one-handed touchdown catch on November 23rd, 2014. Sim did that. When Sim led the Northside varsity team onto the field and they started chanting, "Rip 'em up, tear 'em up, give 'em hell, Redskins," that's what they did. Sim was a dedicated teammate, a natural-born leader, and one who could pat himself on the back better than anyone else. In closing, so when your eulogy is read and your life's actions are rehashed, would you be proud of the things they say about how you lived your dash? The truly great legends leave a legacy to be remembered. Just imagine having your dash continue even after your death. That is Sim Nelson on this night. At this time, I would like to ask that the entire Nelson family and all of our friends that are present tonight with me, please stand. We also thank our athletic director, our coach, Dale Dorfler, Sim's favorite athletic director, Dwayne Brown, Scott Brown. He loved those guys. He loved those guys. We thank you for sharing this moment with us as well. But on behalf of the entire Nelson family, I would like them to join me in presenting Sim M. Nelson IV for induction into the Indiana State Football Hall of Fame. And to accept on Sim's behalf are his children, his daughter, Tamisha Fikes, and his son, Sim M. Nelson V. Thank you.
Good evening. For those of you who may not know us, we are Tamisha Fikes and Sim Nelson V, the children of Sim Nelson IV. It is truly an honor to stand before you tonight and accept this recognition on behalf of our father. While our hearts wish he could be here to receive it himself, we are deeply grateful to be entrusted with accepting this in his memory. First, we would like to thank the Indiana Football Coaches Association for selecting our father for this incredible honor. Our family is humbled by this recognition, and it means more to us than words can adequately express. We would also like to offer a special thank you to Coach Dale Dorfler. Thank you for believing in our dad, for challenging him to become the best version of himself, and for giving him opportunities to lead, grow, and contribute to something bigger than himself. Some of my fondest memories are those unexpected Friday afternoon visits to Northside. As a child, I felt like we were there forever, and somehow Dad always managed to leave with a piece of team gear. Looking back now, I realize those visits meant much more than the gear. They reflected the respect, friendship, and connection that remained long after the games were over. To his former teammates, thank you. Thank you for standing beside him, encouraging him, challenging him, and sharing in the journey. Football is never about one person. It takes an entire team working together toward a common goal. The brotherhood you shared meant so much to him, and he carried those memories with him throughout his life. On behalf of the Nelson family, thank you for all being here tonight. This moment is incredibly special, and if I'm honest, a little emotional. While we celebrate our father today, we can't help but wish he were standing here himself, wearing that unforgettable smile that had a way of making everyone around him feel at ease. Many people remember our father as a gifted athlete. He excelled in football, basketball, and baseball. But if you asked our family what made him truly special, we wouldn't begin with his athletic achievements. We would begin with the man he was. Our dad had a remarkable gift for connecting with people. He never needed to be the loudest voice in the room. His warmth, kindness, and genuine spirit naturally drew people to him. He had a smile that could brighten a difficult day and a way of making others feel valued and seen. He loved people. He was always encouraging someone, lifting someone up, or helping somebody recognize strengths they didn't see in themselves. He believed in people, he invested in people, long after the games ended. That is the legacy that remains. For me personally, I was blessed to have 20 years with him, and some of the most meaningful lessons came during one of the most difficult chapters of his life. As he battled leukemia, we developed a routine of talking every Wednesday and Sunday. At first, our conversations were what you would expect. But as his illness progressed, I found myself spending more time asking how he was feeling and worrying about him. One day, he gently stopped me. These calls aren't about me, they're about you. He wanted to know how school was going, how I was managing sports and activities, and what challenges I was facing. He reminded me to keep moving forward, to keep finding my way, and that he would always be there to guide me. Even now, all these years later, he still does. Watching him endure so much with courage and determination left a lasting impression on me. He taught me something without ever intending to teach it. When life becomes difficult, you keep going. You don't quit. You don't give up. You don't allow obstacles to define you. The perseverance he demonstrated throughout his life became one of his greatest gifts to those who loved him. I would also like to acknowledge my late grandparents. Thank you for raising the man that we honor tonight. He inherited his competitive spirit and love of sports from his father, and the kindness, compassion, and warmth that touched so many lives from his mother. Together, they helped shape the person whose legacy we celebrate here today. To my aunts and uncles, thank you. Thank you for the role each of you played in his life. He loved his siblings dearly and spoke of you often. Family was never just important to him, it was everything. He believed in showing up for people he loved. He believed that family could stand together through every season of life. The love you showed him and the love he returned to each of you is something our family continues to cherish. As we reflect on this honor tonight, I also want to speak briefly to the young men who are currently playing the game of football. If my dad were here today, this is what he would say to you. Take it all in, the practices, the victories, the disappointments, the lessons, and the friendships. One day, the games will end, but the values you learn through sports, discipline, commitment, teamwork, and resilience will remain with you for the rest of your life. My father's legacy is not defined solely by statistics, awards, or accomplishments. It is defined by the way he treated people, the way he preserved through adversity, and the way he chose to show up for others every day. Be the teammate who encourages others. Be coachable. Be committed. And when life brings challenges, remember that strength is often revealed during difficult moments. Keep moving forward. This is the lesson my father lived every single day. Dad, we hope you can see this. We are so proud of you. Your legacy reaches far beyond the field. It lives on in your children, your family, your friends, your teammates, and the countless people whose lives you touched by your kindness, your strength, and your unwavering spirit. This honor is yours, and it is richly deserved. We love you. They say legends never die, and standing here tonight, I understand why. Because our father continues to live on in the lessons he taught, the memories he created, and the impact he made on the people fortunate enough to know him. The measure of a man is not the trophies collected, but in the hearts touched along the way. Tonight, we celebrate a great athlete, but most importantly, a great man. Dad, thank you for showing us what strength, perseverance, kindness, and love look like. Your legacy lives on in all of us, and we will do our best to carry it forward. Until we meet again, we love you.